that is the thread that ties those books together. It is the town of Hope Harbor, which has taken on its own personality now after all this time. And the concept for that series came to me just out of the notion that I wanted to write a book set in a small seaside community. And the Oregon coast appealed to me. I had never been there, but I'd seen so many pictures, and it looked like it would lend itself so well to the kind of community that I wanted to create. So I brought the idea up to my editor, and she was very receptive. And I told her, I said, I hope that this will be more than one book, but we'll start with the first book, which was called Hope Harbor, and we'll see where it goes. But in my mind, I felt very confident that I could create a town that readers would want to visit. So I went out to Oregon, and I visited the coast from top to bottom, taken all kinds of notes and pictures, and I found all kinds of things I incorporated into my fictional town. One town, I had fabulous cinnamon rolls at this little bakery, so that became the signature item at Sweet Dreams Bakery in Hope Harbor. And I learned about seagull romance, which created Floyd and Gladys, my seagull couple, who are now in every book because readers love them. I learned about tide pools. That became a center point of one of the Hope Harbor books because there are tide pools in Hope Harbor. So I pulled all these things together, and I created this little town that's fictional. And it took on a life of its own. And the series, we launched the first book, and readers reacted exactly how I hoped they would react and loved the town. And we went on from there. And as you said, it's been a long run now. I'm always introducing new characters, and the main characters in every Hope Harbor book are typically brand new. They may play some little minor role in a prior book, but mostly they're brand new characters so that I can start a new story and end it at the end of the book. And so I'm always looking for interesting things that might happen in a small town, and where would conflict come from? Because even though these are contemporary romance, and that's what they're classified as, they're really bigger books than that, because while romance is front and center, I always have a secondary storyline going on that is very important and interweaves with the main storyline, but isn't about romance. So in Sea Rose Lane, I had a Cuban refugee who was struggling in this country, and an older woman in town, and how they ended up coming together in a very interesting way that was beneficial to both of them. So the books are bigger than just the romance. So I look for interesting situations, interesting characters. And then in addition to the town, I do have some secondary characters that appear in every book. Readers have come to love them. I couldn't write a book now without these second characters. I mentioned Floyd and Gladys, the seagull couple. They love Floyd. They're now on every cover because I can't write up there. You look at the cover, you'll find Floyd and Gladys somewhere on the cover. I have the two clerics in town who are in churches at opposite ends of the town, who have this really fun banter. They're always ribbing each other, and they're in every book because the readers love them. And then I have a character who has become my most iconic character, and that is Charlie Lopez. He's a renowned artist. He runs a taco stand on the wharf as well. He's kind of the town sage. He knows a little bit more about everything than you would kind of expect he would know. And he's been there for as long as people can remember. And I can tell you that character, of all of the books I've written, he has drawn more reader comments and email than all of the characters in all of those 60 plus books combined. So, like I said, he has become truly an iconic character that readers love to see. But I do certainly have enough books in this series and more to come that it could be done. Driftwood Bay was a really special book for me, which was demonstrated because it won a number of awards too. And that book, I love all of the Hope Harbor books, but that book touched me in a special way because the main storyline and the romance was touching. But there was a secondary storyline in that book about a Syrian refugee family that the town adopted, and the struggles as they attempted to overcome the grief from what had happened to them in Syria and to become part of the new country that they were living in. And it was a 3-generation family. It was a grandmother, it was a mother, her son, and her son's daughter. So these 3 people, I just think it was a very touching series. Starfish Pier was also a very interesting story to write, because one of the complaints that I have heard through the years about romances is you always feature perfect people, physically perfect people. That has not been the case in my writing. I have had a number of heroes and heroines who are not perfect in the eyes of the world physically. But in that particular book, I featured a heroine that had a challenging condition. And I think that readers, from what I could gather from the comments and responses I've had, appreciated the fact that I featured someone like that in a major role and showed her having her own happy ending. So I think that was well received, largely for that reason. And then the Blackberry Beach is the most recent book. And that one, I believe, resonated with people because the main character, the main female character in that book, she had spent her whole life and all of her energy, her focus on achieving a certain dream. And right when she was on the cusp of achieving that dream, something happened that made her rethink everything. And so she has come to Hope Harbor to think about her life and rethink her priorities. And the hero in that book had already done that. He's in the town and he has some other challenges, but he'd already done that. So this book, I believe, appeals to people, and isn't that all of us, who have sometimes had to really think about, is this what we want in life? And what is our priority? And should we shift gears? And if we make a choice to change direction, what will that mean for us? So I try always in my books to hit on themes that will resonate with readers, that they can connect to at some aspect of their life. And I guess I've been pretty successful because the books have been so well received.